What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms above, or directly at WiseTake.com if you're ready to take a game to the next level. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. We do this Monday through Friday right here on the YouTube channel. If for any reason we are not, if you look at our channel and we're not scheduled to do the shows that we normally do or the content we normally do, check out our Twitch page. Check out our Twitter. We will go Periscope, Twitch. We do those simultaneously. If you prefer to watch us there, that's fine. But in the event that YouTube were to try to suspend us, whatever, they've had a lot of that shit going on. You can look elsewhere to find us. We actually have a secondary YouTube channel as a backup too. So just make sure that you're following us on all the right platforms, and we'll keep you up to date where you can find everything. And also, guys, if you could hit that, guys and gals, I should say, my apologies. If you could hit that like button, it goes a long way, really helps us out. You know, I know you guys probably get tired of hearing everybody say it, but there's a reason everybody says it, is because it helps. So if you could hit the like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Wild slate. We got some news since our early look this morning. Shout out to those of you who were with us grinding this morning as we did another early look show, midday show, whatever you want to call it. And I appreciate the feedback we've gotten. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We do have a winner for yesterday's contest. We did a giveaway yesterday. We gave away a free month of WiseTake membership. And I believe Paulie told me it was Pop Giorgio 10, winner of the Dame contest. So send an email to contact@wisetake.com, contact@wisetake.com, and we'll get you all situated and set up. Pop Giorgio 10. Congratulations, man. Nice job. Your guess, I'm sure, must have been pretty low because obviously the Portland Trailblazers got their teeth kicked in. Yesterday was a rough day for me. It did not go. You know, every once in a while you're gonna have one of those. Yesterday was one of the worst fantasy days I've had in a while. You know, it was what it was. I took a stand. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about it here. We talked about it this morning. Sometimes you take a little stand, tired of kind of going with the chalk, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yesterday it didn't. But shout out to those of you who did ride the Harden train, which you know should have. You made the right move and took it down. Shout out to y'all. All right. We got a lot of games to get through. There's 9 games, but there's like complex situations. We touched on them earlier. We're going to retouch on them again as we go through. Hour 2, we will bring Paulie D on, get his take on some of these things, and, you know, try to figure out the code to success tonight because there's a lot. There's a lot of thin teams. The trade deadline does not end until, the trade deadline does not come until tomorrow. So we can continue to see guys get moved. I know that there are reports that Houston's actively looking for a center. There's reports that the Timberwolves are desperately trying to find another point guard. So we'll see. It's going to be a wild ride. If you're subscribed to WiseTake.com and you're in the Slack chat, which is for month members or higher, make sure that you're watching the NBA injuries channel like a hawk. Just be ready. just be ready. Otherwise, we're going to lead you up into lock anyway. So if anything happens before lock, we'll be able to let you know here. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we got the Phoenix Suns visiting the Detroit Pistons. We've got a 218.5 total. Let me just refresh this and make sure we got the latest odds. 218.5 total. That's actually risen 1 full point. The Suns opened up -2 on the road. They're up to -3.5. The Suns are another team that's missing some bodies. We talked about this earlier, but Ty Jerome's been out. Saric, Baines, Tyler Johnson, Cameron Johnson, Frank Kaminsky. They have a lot of injuries. And if you look who's left, we've been noticing that Oubre and these guys are playing monster minutes, and it's just like their minutes are just locked in. As long as the game's competitive, and it's hard to envision Detroit really blowing anyone out, as long as the game's competitive, they're favored here, then you would expect guys like Kelly Oubre and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton to play a ton of minutes because they have been. Booker's price has come down. It's interesting because we have so much value today. And regardless of whether you think it's like solid value, because nothing is really solid until we actually get the starting lineup, which we may not get until after lock from Minnesota. They dictate a lot. They could possibly have 8 people available. 8 to 9, I believe. They may have. So, and they're playing Atlanta in the highest total game in the slate. So we're going to have to address that situation regardless. Now, As far as potential pivots, I think it's more pivoting off of, like, instead of using the value there to go with the other studs that everybody else may be trying to get. You can be a little different by playing some mid-tier. There is actually a lot of good mid-tier. Kelly Oubre, I think, does make sense in tournaments. Matchup-wise, I think the spot is solid. Price-wise, it's fine. Especially on FanDuel, he's priced really well. And he's just, like I said, go look at his minutes. He's playing 38 to 40. In a blowout, he played 38 the other day. Ricky Rubio is the one who's been inconsistent. The Ricky Rubio thing to do today would be to ball at like 3% or less ownership today. He is underpriced. He's been injured, and then he's not been playing a ton. Booker's been just dominant running the offense, so they're kind of letting him. Rubio only played like 20 minutes in the last game or something like that. So it's a risk. But all these things are going to lead to his ownership being low, and at the end of the day, he does have 40-point upside. I mean, DraftKings point upside. He was doing that, earlier this season, no problem. So I probably don't end up with a ton. I'm just stating the fact that he's going to be low owned. And that's going to be the case. I think I do reach Oubre. I definitely will have some Booker shares. That shooting guard position is pretty deep. So it's hard to commit to any one of them. But, him, Butler, there's a lot of guys over there. Wiggins. It's a competitive position. But, again, that's going to keep the ownership at bay to a degree because people are going to be spreading their ownership shot between those guys, D'Angelo Russell. And then, of course, I mentioned DeAndre Ayton. He's playing a ton of minutes. His backup right now is Check the Allo. That's his backup right now. So we know with Andre Drummond on the other side of this, expected to play big minutes as they deal with injuries also. Ayton's going to get a ton of minutes again. This price might not be high enough. And again, the ownership too. We got Enes Kanter's going to draw some ownership today. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to draw some ownership today. So you're going to get an opportunity to get some of these lower owned options, that like these guys that are in really good spots at lower ownership. It's just going to be a matter of is it better than whatever you pivoted off of. But Ayton, Booker, Oubre, those are your main three here. I don't think you need anything else from here, but I am interested. On the other side, we got the Detroit Pistons. They're also dealing with injuries. They're missing like Svi. Obviously, we know Blake Griffin. Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard. They aren't playing Tim Frazier regardless, at least that's what it seems. And this is leading to bigger minutes for guys like Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown has played 38 minutes in 2 straight games. The price has been elevated. If he gets you another 27, he didn't have a great game. No, none of the Pistons did that day, really. But if he gets you, like, say, another 27, it's not good enough now. Now it could actually hurt you, especially on a slate where we have so much value lying around. So I will play Bruce Brown a bit because, again, you can see he projects really well for us. These projections, by the way, this table I made for, just a quick disclaimer, I made the table for those of you who are new for this show to give you guys a visual. But the actual projections themselves are available at WiseTake.com with a WiseTake membership. Holla for $1. Actually, $2.50. That's how much a day pass costs. Anyway, Reggie Jackson I do prefer. Reggie played 34 minutes in an overtime game. Then he played a back-to-back. He was questionable. I went heavy on him that day. I shouldn't have. He's been on this like every other kind of pattern deal. The usage for Reggie's been awesome. Really like what I'm seeing from him. His last game, he dudded hard, but we talked about it earlier. He took how many shots? He was like 1 for 16. 1 for 16. Only played 24 minutes. He took 16 shots in 24 minutes. He took 18 shots in 34 the day before that. Of course, obviously with Derrick Rose out, they need somebody to kind of step it up. So Reggie and Drummond, I love today. I say love for Drummond, knowing that I may not be able to get as much of him as I'd like, only because we do have Karl-Anthony Towns. We've got Jokic with no backup. We've got there's just a lot. Enes Kanter with no backup, really, and it could go small. We'll talk about it, but you can kind of see it's just spread. It's everywhere. Markieff Morris is questionable. He missed the last game. Should he miss, they'll be even thinner. If Markieff Morris misses, I will be raising Sekou Doumbouya's projection. He's another one who played terribly the other day, but the usage was pretty impressive. He ended up only getting 26 minutes. He still went for 19. He was min-priced, so he was fine, 6.6x. His usage rate was 28.7 that day, 2 for 15 from the field. So if Morris is in, then obviously we would expect he's going to cut in. Morris playing would also affect Christian Wood, who ended up playing a lot of minutes against Memphis, though they are a bigger team. They're not going to need Christian Wood at the 4 at all today. if they don't need to. I mean, if they don't want to, which they typically don't. So I wouldn't expect to see too much in today. But if Markieff is out, they may not have a choice. We'll see. But Sekou Doumbouya I will like a lot, and we'll raise his projection if Markieff were to get ruled out. But in the meantime, it's Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown, Andre Drummond. Those are the main three. Let's get it. Money season, right? First game of the day. Burn your money and go. Let's go on to the next game. We've got the Pacers and the Raptors. Not much has really changed for us here. Not much at all, really. We know that Oladipo is able to play up to 28 minutes. He hasn't even played the 24 initial limit, but they say he can go up to 28. Miles Turner is really cheap. Again, center's pretty loaded, so it may be hard to find ways to fit him in because you have value elsewhere. You'll have money to spend at a position like this, or you'll have a punt that seems better. But he did show a usage increase with TJ Warren off the court, and he has played 34 minutes in 2 straight games. Toronto, without Marc Gasol, is not nearly as intimidating against bigs. Not that they're great against bigs, but Gasol is at least a true big. Ibaka a little undersized. He's more of a power forward. Sorry. Malcolm Brogdon, very interesting. Ownership probably going to be low again because we have Culver, we've got Reggie, we've got a lot of guys, Bruce Brown, who are going to take up ownership at the position. But Brogdon, despite the fact that he screwed me long and hard in the last contest, we know he's got upside at this price. If Aaron Holiday starts, which they may do, if Aaron Holiday starts again at the 3, that did seem to affect Brogdon's usage a little bit. Holiday is a guy that's not afraid to shoot. Warren, it's not like it shouldn't affect it that much. I guess the difference is that Holiday can do a little more than shoot. He can also facilitate because he also plays point guard. So maybe that's what it was, is they kind of took Brogdon off the ball. I'm not really sure, but he did suck. That he did. He got close to hitting value, but close ain't good enough, especially not on a slate like today. I envision very high scores. Sabonis is going to be a low-owned stud option. On FanDuel, a little bit more reachable. On DraftKings, very hard to reach at 9.2 with all the guys around him. Oladipo on FanDuel at 4.8. We haven't really seen him. He's still getting going. And again, we haven't even seen him play. They say he can now play 28 minutes. He hasn't even played 24 yet. I don't understand it. It's mainly Brogdon for me, I think, here. I don't mind a shot on Jeremy Lamb or you want to take, I don't mind these guys. Even Aaron Holiday, if he's going to play another 24 to whatever 25 minutes he got. But it's really Brogdon. I would say Turner. It's just I like Turner earlier. It's just we have a lot of centers now that kind of seem like better options. Toronto is mid-tier city. If you want to be a little different today and just load up on all the mid-tier plays, you can take a lot of guys from Toronto. We know that the other side of the game is big, Sabonis and Turner both, so you figure Ibaka, this could be a day where Ibaka gets more minutes than we even have him projected for. We have him for 30. He may get more than that, just for the simple fact that they might need him on the court with the bigs. So 6-1 on DraftKings, 5.9 on FanDuel. On FanDuel, I like him a lot at 5.9 at power forward. DraftKings, it makes it difficult because he's a center. Kyle Lowry also 6'7 and 6'8. We haven't projected for 35 minutes because lately the minutes have been a little unstable. Part of that is blowout. Part of that is probably them trying to give him a break when Van Vliet came back because he was playing 42 minutes a game. But we know they do like to play him big minutes as well. So I do think that, again, in that mid-tier thing, Kyle Lowry is a guy that I'm going to grab some of. I'm probably going to end up more with the stars and scrub stuff, but I do want some of these balanced plays because there are good ones out there. I think I'm doing 190 teams today, so I will... I'll find ways to work in some Kyle Lowry, even if it's just 10-15% or something like that because of his price. But there are obviously other plays I like better. Siakam is also interesting on DraftKings. He's only 7.8. FanDuel, I'm not that interested at 8.4. But 7.8 on DraftKings I do think is interesting. He's got 60-point upside. It doesn't happen as often as we thought it was, but he's got it. Chris Boucher for value. We'll check the status on Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. If he's out, then I think Boucher is more likely to play a little bit more. And he could play more in general, foul trouble, or if they just feel like they have to get bigger with Ibaka. I think that's why I think Ibaka and Siakam are going to play a ton because of the Sabonis Turner matchup. But Boucher would be the next biggest guy, so he could end up in the mix. But we have stronger value, so it's just harder to rely on something like that. But if RHJ was ruled out, it would be a little more, I guess, slightly more interesting. Again, there's value options you can take a shot on here. It's just we have stronger value elsewhere, so it just seems unlikely we need it. Van Vliet, the only one I didn't talk about. I was a little surprised that I had Van Vliet projected slightly lower than Lowry. I mean, on the raw projection itself, Lowry actually projected more raw points. I was actually very surprised by that, but Van Fleet did miss a lot of time. I don't know. But yeah, you could see all the mid-tier guys. If you want a mid-tier team to stack today and to say, like, if I was going to the Raptor game, this would be one of the guys. I would be like, I'm just going to at least do one team stacked with these guys because they're all mid-tier. So if this game goes OT or whatever the case is, they could all return GPP value and give you a very different build. And also the players should be fairly low owned as well. Let's keep it rolling. Pop into the YouTube chat. Pop in. Yeah, Kemba Allen Smart. Yeah, that definitely changed. Charles Walker, what's your best value play tonight? Ooh. That's a good one, man. Probably one of the Minnesota guys or Detroit. I like Reggie, if you consider him value. I like Culver. We'll talk about that. I can't, like, as of right now, it's Culver. But my real answer is whoever starts at point guard for Minnesota and whoever probably starts at power forward for Minnesota. That's probably going to be my two best value plays. But I'll throw Reggie in there. He's a guy I'm going to end up playing a lot. And I'll be sick about it later, but you know the deal. Hit that like button, those of you that just joined us. Appreciate you. Welcome. Subscribe, notification, like, all that good stuff. And let's get into it. On to the next. We've got the Orlando Magic visiting the Boston Celtics. We've got a 209 total. I think it's the lowest on the board. That's what happens to the Utah effect. Utah and Charlotte just play so damn slow. Sickening. The Magic opened up as 7.5 point road underdogs. It is now down to 5.5. Obviously, we heard Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart are out, and Daniel Theis. So Boston going to be pretty thin as well. As far as the Magic go, Evan Fournier is interesting for the spot. I know he was questionable all day. They're pretty sure he's going to play. He's for the spot. The spot is interesting. He's another mid-tier option. We've seen these shooters just destroy Boston. We know Marcus Smart is out, who's one of their better guard defenders. So Fournier is kind of interesting. Gordon, I'm worried about the matchup. Vooch is really the one that I have the most interest in here, though. Cantor's not going to cover him on the perimeter. There's a chance that Boston ends up deciding to go small for a lot of this game anyway. And stick like Tatum or someone on him, which obviously would be a pretty good situation for Vooch. It's a good spot in terms of rebounds. Obviously, the pace isn't great, but rebounds, and again, there's not really much resistance on the other end for his type of game. He's just, Theis can at least, I feel like Theis is like somebody who can cover the perimeter a little bit better, right? He's not, Cantor's a traditional big. He's just a big dude down low. So I do like Vooch. Again, another center, going to be low owned. Him and Bam are two guys I got my eye on that I think are going to have low ownership today because of all the others. Markelle Fultz is okay. I like a lot of guards. He kind of falls off, but I think his ownership will be low. It's mainly, it's really Vooch. And then I think Fournier is kind of interesting, but again, there's just too many other people that I think grade out better than him today. But Vooch is a takeaway for me today. The plays. Boston. So remember, we always say that thin teams are the cheat code in DFS. The issue, of course, is when you have a slate like this where multiple teams are thin. There is a couple teams that are thinner than others. But there's a lot of injuries and situations like that to take account. And again, be ready because the trade deadline is not over till tomorrow. So you hear anything, you got to be ready to react. If you're playing FanDuel today, you are brave. You are brave. But keep in mind that everybody else in the same position as you, they have to absorb the same risk that you do. So, holla. On the Boston side, Enes Kanter projects to be one of the strongest plays on the slate. I mean, he missed some time with injury, and then he came back, and he's had one game. He was on a limit that game. He only played 16 minutes against the Hawks. In 16 minutes, he went for 20. My point being that I don't know how many minutes he gets, but at this price, even if he does get 16 again and goes for 20, because he's going to play some, obviously, with Theis out. It's hard for it to hurt you. So to answer, I know somebody asked about value plays. Kanter is one of my favorite value plays. The issue, of course, is the position. He's at center. And there's a lot of centers we're going to want. FanDuel, you only get one center. So Cantor would be one of them. You can look at our projections and see he projects like a beast. And I lowered his minutes, and some of the other places have 24. Like all these, I got 22.5, and he's still projecting for 6 points, almost 30 DraftKings points. But that's the kind of player he is. And again, they are missing Kemba and Smart, so the usage for the surrounding players should be a little bit higher. And defensively, Vooch has never been known for his defense. So Cantor's going to have his way on the offensive end if they elect to go that route. The issue, how this can go wrong, is if they decide to play someone else and just kind of go small because they don't think Vooch is going to bang him out down low. Vooch likes to set up for jump shots time to time. Not all the time, time to time. But I don't think they do that. I think Cantor gets minutes. The other guys on FanDuel are interesting. Jaylen Brown, I think, is cheap. Gordon Hayward, I think is in reach. Gordon Hayward should play. He's with all these injuries. These three guys have been playing a ton. I like Tatum. The issue on DraftKings for a lot of these guys is pricing. But on FanDuel, some of them are okay. Mainly Jaylen Brown. Cantor is fine on both. I'm not gonna do the Wanamaker thing. I know he looked good in that last game. He finally had a good day. As many times as he's burned people, it's been pathetic. But I'm just not right. Like I'm just not that interested. There's other guys at his price that I would rather take a shot on before him. I don't know. We'll go on to the next one. We've got the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. We got some revenge narrative action. D'Angelo Russell, obviously another, like, they're talking about him getting traded constantly. Golden State has said that they're cool with keeping him. They wanted to see him play with Steph, so they're fine keeping him. But if they get an offer that's just ridiculously good, then they're going to take it. We have a 223 total here. The Nets are 6.5-point home favorites. One other thing I forgot to mention with the schedules about that Indiana-Toronto game. Toronto is working with 2 days rest. Just going to kind of throw that out there. In Orlando, we talked about Orlando-Boston. Orlando plays tomorrow. So if the game does have, I'm not saying it will, but if the game were to get ugly, what is it, an 8 points? 7.5, right? Yeah. Or no, it's lowered now because Kemba's out and all that. But just a heads up. Orlando plays tomorrow. As far as Golden State, Brooklyn, both teams have had a day off. Golden State's on this road trip across the country. Brooklyn isn't a 4-6, but they've had a day off, so it's not like the worst part of the 4-6. If D'Angelo Russell is in, I'm cool with getting some exposure to him. His ownership has been consistently. Anytime he goes over 8, his ownership. I mean, honestly, his ownership really has never been high. It's very rare that you see his ownership high, even though when he's playing, he's in a close game, getting like 35, 36 minutes. And I would anticipate this game to be close. No Kyrie on the other side. So D'Lo is my favorite from the Warriors. Draymond's been playing really well. Another mid-tier, like 6'6". He's actually gone for like 40 DraftKings points in, I think, 3 out of his last 4. Something like that. He's been playing well. And Brooklyn is a soft matchup all around. They're just not good defensively. So I do like Draymond and D'Lo both in like a close game kind of build. I don't like a ton else. Marquise Chris, I could get behind. It's just he's a little more expensive. I don't know if I need that. Right? I just feel like we're going to find better players there. But at least on FanDuel, the power forward eligibility on DraftKings is kind of interesting. If we don't have a guy in that range, he could be someone we take a shot on. This is a really good spot for centers. The issue, of course, is minutes. We don't know how many minutes he's going to play. We know Kevon Looney is back. We don't expect him to play a ton. They got Spellman, so we've seen them go small and play Draymond at the 5. So there's just some question marks. But Russell and Green for sure, if you want to attack this for tournaments, I think they'll both be very low owned today. Russell, because there's so many people at his position around him at similar price points, that people are going to split it, I think. And Draymond is kind of all by himself in that range. He's right next to Larry Nance. And Tristan Thompson's doubtful. So I feel like he's going to be long. The rest of the guys I'm not crazy interested in with D'Lo back. Burks is, I would assume, go back to his 24, 25 minutes. Rotating in with Damian Lee. So I'm not interested in a ton else outside of those two. On the Brooklyn side, assuming Karis LeVert starts on FanDuel, man, I don't know how you don't just lock him in at 4,500. We know Karis LeVert can do this. I don't understand why they weren't playing him before. 23 minutes. Maybe there's some kind of injury thing we don't know about. I know he's got some injury history. But at 5'7", if he's starting and he's going to get another 32 minutes, 5'7" is not expensive enough for Karis LeVert. He should be, I think, at least in the 6s somewhere. You could argue more if he was getting 35 minutes a day, but that's not the situation. He got 32 last time. If he gets 32 again in this soft-ass matchup, I do expect him to play well. If he doesn't start, or if he just has one of those days where he's struggling, which is obviously very strong possibility, then you would expect Dinwiddie to have a big game. Now, the interesting thing about Dinwiddie is I don't think anybody's playing Dinwiddie. And the last time Kyrie Irving was out, everybody was playing Dinwiddie every day. Maybe people play Dinwiddie on FanDuel, where he's 7K. But I don't think, I've heard Booker talk. I've heard D. Russell talk. I've heard all these guys. I don't even see much people talking about Dinwiddie. And if Karis LeVert starts, I understand why. Because Karis LeVert did take a lot of he ate into that usage, ate into some of his minutes. Dinwiddie wasn't in the same exact role as he was the last time that Kyrie missed a stretch. So I understand it. But now it's interesting because I expect the ownership... Not even the flip-flop. I don't expect LeVert to beat chalk. Well, on FanDuel, I kind of do. But in general, I just think Dinwiddie's going to be lower owned than he would be normally in this type of situation with no Kyrie Irving in a soft matchup. That's my point. Very good spot for Jared Allen as well. But DeAndre Jordan is back and has been eating into his minutes. It's a good matchup for him, too. Hard to imagine going him over... some of the other value guys. But Jared Allen's kind of interesting. On FanDuel, I'm always more inclined to play him because he's power forward. So this is a really good spot for centers in general. Just keep in mind that he has been eating into his minutes. If you look into it, DeAndre Jordan is eating into his minutes. Let's go to the next. We've got the arguably, well, at least one of the games of the nights, or at least the most talked about games of the nights. I don't want to persuade anybody more than you probably already are. This game's got the highest total. It really doesn't need my backing, but to entice people to play it. But obviously for good reasons. So let's talk about Minnesota. So assuming that Turner and these guys they traded for, is just assuming that they're not going to play because they were traded for last night at late as shit. We're gonna assume that. I'm gonna pull up the chat for this one because I want to hear some of your thoughts. 49 Don, what's happening? We will definitely get into that game. You didn't miss it. We didn't even get into it yet. If you're just joining us, welcome. Please hit the like button. Please hit that like button. Likes go a long way. Really help us out. Looks like we are getting some news now that is actually beneficial to me. So, or beneficial to all of us to at least know, because knowledge is power, right? Seth Curry out. JJ Barea also out. So when we get to that game, I'll make the proper adjustments and we'll take it from there. Kind of interesting. And I'll explain why when we get there. Okay. So, what to do in Minnesota, right? So, as of right now, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bodies. That's what we're assuming. After the big trade, they traded away with 4 or 5. I don't even know how many players. Allen Crabbe is questionable, so they could be down to 8 players. Again, I'm assuming that Turner and them dudes, I saw some places actually put them into, put minutes in for them, 10 minutes for this guy, 5 minutes for that guy. I saw some people, a couple different places do that. So I guess I don't know if that's a possibility, but I would assume that they're not available. I mean, they probably just flew in this morning. I don't know. Physicals, that's something. But with that said, I'm assuming that if Crabbe is out, they're going to just roll with these 8 dudes. The starting lineup is very important. We may not know that. That's why for the FanDuel people, I wish you good luck if you have to guess. Hopefully we get that news. I'm not holding out hope that we don't. Maybe we do. But just the way things, if I'm the coach, I don't even know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? If I'm the coach here, I don't even know yet. I'm going to wait until the last possible minute also. Darius11 says, everybody on Minnesota in play. I say, yeah. I think so. I think they're all at least in play. At least in play. We'll start with Jarrett Culver. So we're all assuming he's going to start at point guard. The only 2 actual point guards on this team, and they haven't even been using Culver as a point guard. Culver's been playing a wing position for them. He's been playing the 2. He's been starting. Last game he started and didn't even close. Got 17 minutes, even though he started. What makes things more complex here is that Atlanta is obviously very fast-paced, and they don't play defense. So despite the fact that they're thin, they are still favored at home. Which leads me into the spread, right? Minnesota is currently a 4-point favorite at home. We've got a 239 total that's up 2.5 points. This total has risen 2.5 points with all the news we've gotten so far. Highest total by far. This should play at an unbelievable pace. So, yeah, I think everybody here is in play. Because I think with 8 people on your team, you have to play everyone. Now, where it gets for us is like, when we're talking upside, you don't necessarily need 5 of these value dudes, right? Because at some point, raw points do kind of matter to a degree, right? You have to spend that money. So it's a matter of picking your favorite combinations. I think you can play up to 4 or 5 Minnesota guys in one team. I really think you could. But maybe not all the value. It wouldn't be like 5 value guys. It would be like, 3 value guys, Wiggins and Cat or some shit like that. But we'll start with Culver. If he does start at point guard, then we want him. We're going to assume that he's going to close at point guard. It's just him and McLaughlin who are the only point guards left on the team. And again, McLaughlin is really the only real point guard on the team because they had moved Culver off the ball. And McLaughlin was legitimately backing up Shabazz Napier. But we're assuming Culver's going to start at point. If he does, he's a phenomenal play. I think the last time he had a good game was against Atlanta. So we would assume he's going to play minutes in the 30s. You can see that projection-wise, that puts him at almost 7x on both sites. So, yes. The other biggest question, now keep in mind, like on DraftKings, you could late swap, right? So if we find out that Culver is starting, but he's not starting at the point guard position, I'll still like Culver as long as he's starting because I think he'll still play a ton of minutes. But I'll also be interested more in Jordan McLaughlin, who is already in play. But I would assume in that case, what if he starts? He can get even more minutes. So the starting lineup is important to me. Now, the other big thing, because keep in mind, there's Keelan Martin's got to rotate in somewhere as well in this. And then, of course, Josh Okogie, who's already a part of the rotation. Where does he fit into all this? So there's a lot. As of right now, you can see, as far as my actual exposures go, I'm getting more Culver and Okogie right now. As far as the value goes, Naz Reid projects really well, but because he's at center, it's not giving me as much of him. I am getting some of him, but it's not giving me as much. And we're assuming right now, that him and Gorgie Dieng are gonna like at least split the power forward position. But these are the two guys. One of these guys has to back up Cat also. So that's the situation we're in. It seems like I would think that Karl-Anthony Towns is going to play as many minutes as he possibly can. They're just going to say, dude, can you just play as many as you can? Making him one of the top studs on the slate, right? Because, his backups are... Now, they could go small. Bump everybody down. I don't know who would play the 4 for them. Maybe they try putting Okogie there or Keelan Martin or I don't know who does it. But... with John Collins and assuming that Fernando or Damian Jones starts for Atlanta, it would be more likely that Gorgie Dieng or Naz Reid starts at the 4 to match up so that you have 2 bigs and 2 bigs because John Collins and Damian Jones on the other side. So that's what I think. But even with that, you still got to pick which one you think is going to do good. Naz Reid was super aggressive when he got that run when Cat was out. Him and Gorgie Dieng both looked really good. On FanDuel, the decision's a little like Naz Reid is way more attractive. Like it's not even close. Why? Because Gorgie Dieng is center. Naz Reid is power forward. I do believe Naz Reid is going to play. If they only have, even if Crab plays, if they have 9 bodies, I believe that Gorgie Dieng and Naz Reid will both play. At the very least, to back up 4 or to back up to 5, something. So on FanDuel, if that 3,500 is going to help you out, he's a high upside player. If he could get more run than we think. If he's the reason that they're doing well, they'll leave him in there and roll with him. So. It's tough. But Culver, Okogie are my favorites. Then Naz Reid and Gorgie Dieng. But again, I would give the advantage to whoever starts. I think that we're assuming that Naz Reid may start simply because Gorgie Dieng has been the backup center. So assuming they want to keep things the same. But at the same time, Gorgie Dieng is more of the veteran. He's somebody they obviously trust with minutes more than Reid. He always played more minutes than Reid. So they could just elect to start him at the 4. We'll have to see what they do. The starting lineup is going to be important. Again, right now, Culver and Okogie are the main ones for value. We have our eyes on Reid, Gorgie Dieng, and we still got to pay attention to what they do at Keelan Martin, who I believe closed the last game over Jared Culver. So if Culver starts, that's great, but we want Culver starting at point guard. If not, we need to verify who the hell that point guard is. But again, yes, everybody's in play. As far as the stud goes, yes, Wiggins. FanDuel is very cheap. DraftKings price is up, but again, I would imagine if this, because at the end of the day, you can say a team's tanking, whatever. The coach does not want to lose, because at the end of the day, the coach's record when he goes to get another job reflects on these games. So they're always going to try, and if he's really going to try, and this game should be within reach, they're favorites still, even with all these guys out. Then I would imagine he's going to play Wiggins and Cat a ton tonight, and more so Cat because they just don't have the bigs anymore. So I'm higher on Cat, but I will play some Wiggins as well because I just think they're both going to get a lot of minutes. Is that fair? I'm going to spend some time on it. Yeah, exactly, Darius. They could go small with Keelan. So exactly. Now, if they go small with Keelan, anytime, we say this all the time, anytime a player is moved to the 4, right? If they slide a player down to power forward, if they're going to move him closer to the basket, we want more of that player. He's more likely to get more rebounds, and he's more likely to take higher percentage shots because he's closer to the basket. So if they do something like that and they go with Keelan Martin at the 4 or something crazy, I'll want more of him. So on DraftKings, you have the late swap. You got to be ready to move. On FanDuel, you got to get dirty. You got to get dirty and make an educated guess. Your best educated guess. That's what you're going to have to do. Let's go to the Atlanta side. We need more information on that one anyway. So for Atlanta, Trae Young projects to be one of our best studs on the slate tonight. I'm cool with that. Point guards have been roasted in Minnesota, and I don't think that Jared Culver or Jordan McLaughlin was the answer to fix that. So I like Trae Young. With DeAndre Hunter I believe he's probable now. That kind of sucked because I really wanted to play Jeff Teague revenge, and it's not over. I'm going to wait on this one to raise his minutes. We got Teague at 27 minutes because I'm assuming that their lineup is going to be Trae Young, Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Damian Jones. That's what I'm assuming they're going to do. But if we see them do something different, because without Hunter, they slid everybody down, or if they decide to just play Collins at the 5 today, if Jeff Teague is starting, I will be raising his projection up to at least 30 minutes, which I think would be enough to start putting him on my teams because we got a little revenge narrative. It's just a really good spot for guards in general. And we got this revenge narrative should be fun, right? He got to Minnesota, helped them go to the playoffs, and then they traded his ass for a bag of peanuts. And now they're begging they don't have a point guard. So they wanted anybody but Jeff Teague? So I'm not a huge narrative dude, but I know Jeff Teague is also really cool with a lot of these Minnesota players. He got real close with Josh Okogie and some of the other guys. So I think he's going to play hard if he's in. It's a minutes thing, though. I'm not going to chance it on a slate like this with so many good options unless I think he's really going to get 30 minutes or more. So if he starts, I'm going to think he gets that many minutes. Every time. Okay. Like I said, Huerter, bro. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. You tell me how to say his name. Write it phonetically or whatever in the chat. Because I've heard Paulie called him Huerter once, and people were getting on him. What do you call this guy? Huerter? I don't know. I don't know how to say his name. But speaking of him, I'm curious to see what happens to his minutes because he was playing 39, 40 minutes a game with Hunter out. If Hunter is back, I'm assuming he's going to go back to 36, 35. Maybe Jeff T cuts into him depending on matchup. I'm not really sure. But this is obviously one of the better Herter. Okay, it's Herter. Is it really Herter? Is that it? It's just Herter? No shit. Obviously I don't watch enough Hawks games, I guess. Because I would have heard him say it, I guess, right? Herter. Okay, Kevin Herter. So we'll see. But yeah, this is going to be one of the best teams in the game stack. It's just the easiest to go with Trae Young. I do prefer Trae Young. And again, I got my eye on Jeff Teague. Collins is fine. He's going to play more 4 today, I would think. They could slide him down for Cat. You got the foul trouble thing to keep in mind. Either one of those guys, if they're both very aggressive, foul trouble's a thing. Especially, man, Minnesota's going to be real careful with that foul trouble. They'll be real careful with that foul trouble, man. If somebody fouls out, then they don't got nobody to bring in. What happens if I don't even want? They're gonna have to play right through their foul trouble, I guess. At least the cheap guys. But anyway, yeah. My main guy here is Trae Young. I'll have a good amount of Trae Young. And I got my eye on Teague. If I see that Teague is starting, I'll be willing to fire some Teague up. I'll raise his minute projection, and we will do the dirty. Let's go over to the next game. We've got the Cavaliers and OKC. That's right. We talked about this earlier. It was kind of a bummer to talk about this one after after getting through that other mess. Ooh, man. Oh, no, that's Daniel Gafford. Never mind. All right. Cleveland. Hit the like button, guys. If you're just joining us, welcome. Appreciate you. Please hit that like button. Really, really helps us out. Okay, so another scheduled mismatch type. Cleveland's had a day off. Oh, it's not really a mismatch. Oklahoma City's had 4 days off. We'll keep that in mind, though. 220.5 is the total, down from 221. OKC opened up as 12.5 point favorites. They're up to minus 13.5. Larry Nance played like a million minutes the other day in overtime against the Knicks. I think it was like 40-something he got. So even without overtime, he was on his way to play like 37, 38, something crazy. So I know on FanDuel, I love him. On DraftKings, I know the price is elevated. The matchup isn't pretty against like Steven Adams and shit, but he's a minutes play. He's going to play a lot. So I'm actually kind of comfortable. And the coach wanted him to be more aggressive. They weren't playing Thompson much anyway. Thompson's doubtful, by the way. Hasn't been we have him out, but he's actually doubtful. So I don't think he's going to play either, but I'm just putting it out there. Full disclosure, he's doubtful. He's not officially out, I don't think. With that said, Nance is going to play a lot of minutes. They have guys like Zizic and Henson that they could play in garbage time if they think. There's rumors that Thompson could be getting traded to Houston. I know Houston's in talks for a center. They say it's with a team from the Eastern Conference, and one source said it could be that Tristan Thompson was one of the teams or one of the centers. But they do have guys they can bring in should it get to that situation. Colin Sexton's been playing really well, getting a ton of minutes. Kevin Love's price is elevated, but he's been playing well. He played really good without Thompson, and I think his ownership will be pretty low, being that there's so many other good spots and being that they're big underdogs on the road. So I'm not too big into Cleveland. It's really just Larry Nance. I don't mind Kevin Love, but I don't love the 8K price tag on DraftKings either. There's just so many guards I like better than these. There's really not a lot for me on Cleveland. Nance is probably the main one. And again, even on DraftKings, it can be harder to reach. I mean, I got him projected for 35 minutes, so maybe we give him a little bit more just to get him in. But on FanDuel, like I said, him and Ibaka, it looks like a pretty killer combo without spending too much money. But you even got Naz Reid. We talked about you could play over there. It sucks. You got to pick two because you got Naz Reid. You could work into the mix over there and get stars and Scrubsy if that's your preferred method. But a lot of options. On the Thunder side, if Adams were to get full run, I'd be interested. Cleveland's been bad against centers. I know Thompson is doubtful, but I don't think Nance is really going to fix much of that. If Adams continues to be limited, Nerlens Noel has actually seen some pretty good minutes. The problem, of course, is we talked about how loaded center is. It's just hard to envision us really sticking here. But Adams at 5'6" and 5'1", he's definitely underpriced. We just don't know as far as minutes, how many minutes he's actually going to play because he was limited with an ankle injury. But they've had 4 days off. It's a good matchup for Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, and Shea, all of them. Cleveland is just terrible defensively, but their prices are all kind of elevated. If the game does blow out, I would envision they don't get a ton of run. Terrence Ferguson is expected to be back. Not sure if they're going to start Dortz or leave him in there. The reason I mentioned is because Dort's actually been playing fairly well and getting big minutes, but if Ferguson's back, that may change. I don't think it matters. Just this game in general, there wasn't a ton that I loved. Like I said, Nance from Cleveland, maybe love. Over here, it's like you want to play Shea or Chris Paul or even Gallo. Actually, Gallo's probably got the best price. But another one who doesn't play like ridiculously big minutes for no reason. He's actually the one that they're probably the most conservative with at this point. Conservations, you know. You know what it is, nation. What do we got next? We've got Memphis and Dallas. Memphis and Dallas. Let's do the dirty. All right, we've got let's look at some schedule action. So Memphis working with a day's rest. Dallas also working with 1 day rest. It's currently at 3-5, 4-6. And I do got to do some things to Dallas. We will get there. Okay, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson will play. So I still think that they're going to need Boucher, but that's just a speculative guess, not something I'm going to put my money behind. Let's see if we got any other news right quick. Talking about Denzel Valentine and Daniel Gafford, Chandler Hudson. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares today, but everybody will care tomorrow, right? All right, so starting with the Memphis side, what we got here as far as Vegas goes? We've got a 226 total. It's actually down from 229.5. Dallas is a 5-point favorite at home. 5-point favorite at home. Memphis. Let's talk about Memphis. Let's do the dirt. All right, so Memphis remains a tough team for me to pull the trigger on. The rotations are kind of hard to predict exactly how many minutes who's going to get what. They're getting they're healthy, right? Brandon Clark is back. Jackson only missed the game for a suspension. He's been back. They got Kyle Anderson. They've got all these guys kind of floating around. Crowder. So it's tough. I don't mind the game, but it's really the Dallas side that I think is the most interesting. And not to say these guys can't go off. Jaren Jackson Jr. is kind of interesting, except for the fact that he may be seeing a lot of Kristaps Porzingis. Now, maybe not. Maybe he gets Dorian Finney-Smith instead if Porzingis starts at the 5 again. I guess it'll depend on what they do to match up. But if he's going to be matched up at the 4 against Porzingis, I'm nervous about foul trouble. John Morant, the price is fine. He has not played well, and his poor play has led to him not seeing a ton of minutes, getting like 27 a game. He's going to go back to getting 32 at some point. If you get ahead, that's great. Are you willing to risk your money behind that theory? I don't know. Maybe on a smaller slate if there weren't so many good options, right? Brandon Clark could be interesting because if Jaren Jackson gets into foul trouble, or if matchup-wise they don't want to play Joe Val against Porzingis because, I don't know, he just can't match up on the perimeter, whatever the case may be, we could see Clark get more minutes in either direction there. So he's kind of an interesting value play because he's a high point per minute guy. If he were to get big minutes, I mean, we thought we were going to have Brandon Clark there the other day, and that was chalk I was going to willingly eat because when he does play, he is a high point per minute machine. When he does play the minutes. Joe Val, you don't really know what to do. Against Drummond, we were confident that they were going to play him big minutes because of Drummond. Porzingis is not like a big bang it out type center. I don't think you don't need somebody tall helps because you don't want him shooting directly over you like he was doing to PJ Tucker. But he's not a guy that's going to go down there and you don't need Joe Val's weight. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, again, you want somebody tall. It is Porzingis. And they also have a couple bigs. They could decide to start someone else. Willie Cauley-Stein or Maxi Kleber. One of them could start at center. They can go a little bigger. And then what? Then they probably need Joe Val a little bit more, right? I don't know. So we'll see. Hard to gauge. And the center position is loaded anyway. Dylan Brooks could be interesting. His minutes dropped a little bit since guys have gotten healthy. I remember Melton was out for a little bit. So there were a few guys missing. But now guys are coming back. It's not pretty. I don't love it. I'm not going to force it. The Dallas side just got a little more interesting, though, right? So we talked about it earlier, and there were a few, in the midday show, there were a few interesting pieces that we were waiting for the news on, and we did get some of those. So we know that Seth Curry is out, and we know that JJ Barea is out. So I think that's going to lead to more minutes for the other guards. I think DeLon Wright maybe plays more minutes. I'm actually going to check and see. Because basically, let me look at Popcorn Machine. It's the same situation. I think Barea played like 7 minutes and got hurt, right? Rolled his ankle or something. They played Indiana. They won the game. Yeah, Barea played 9 minutes that game. DeLon Wright ended up playing 25. Looks like that was a game where they needed to go big, so they played Kleber a lot. If you remember, they started Kleber. Yeah, Seth Curry was, in fact, out. Tim Hardaway Jr. played a bunch. He got 33.3 minutes. Jalen Brunson ended up playing 30.5. And keep in mind that they don't have J.J. Barea's 9 minutes anymore either. Kleber played 35 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith only played 31, but played really well. Shout out to him. I can't pay that price for him, but he's been aggressive. If Porzingis is out, the numbers show us to play him heavy. That's why we were on him the day before when Porzingis was out. But when Porzingis was in, I wasn't going to pay no $6K, and he still did the dirty. So maybe he's somebody we should consider. But yeah, looking at it, I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein only got 6 minutes. It's definitely matchup dependent. We'll have to see which direction they go in. But for sure, we're going to have to raise the minutes on some of these Dallas guys. So I'll tweak it in a second. The hell? You better cooperate. What the hell this thing's doing? Just give me a second. I'll try to see if I can make this update for Dallas so we can really get an idea. Here we go. So for Dallas, just to kind of go over it, Brunson I'd probably bump up to like at least 32. Hardaway, I think we can go 33.5 at this point. Matter of fact, for Brunson, I'd probably go up to 32.5. Seth Curry, we eliminate. Berea, we get rid of his 11 minutes. Willie Cauley-Stein really didn't play much. Brokoff, we could probably raise a little. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Raising like 17. Justin Jackson may get a couple more minutes. But I think, where's DeLon Wright? Because I think DeLon Wright is more likely to get like 29. So as you can see, some of these guys look a little bit better. Brunson, I'm a big Brunson dude. The usage was like 37% with Porzingis out. With Porzingis in, it was like 20. So I don't expect the same result. But going to Porzingis, speaking of Porzingis, I do like Porzingis today. As of right now, as far as that price range goes, he's one of the players I have the most at this position. It's not a ton because I got a lot of value at this position, but he is one of the players I have the most at the position. And I'm all for him. I think it's fine. The usage is in the 30s. It looks great. As a Knicks fan, I'll tell you this. I've seen him have games where he just can't shoot. And when that happens, you get in trouble because Porzingis is a jump shooter. He likes to shoot jump shots. So if it's a day where he's not hitting those and you're relying just on his rebounds, at 7-1, he could like backwards fall into a 40 DraftKings point day. If he does that today, though, it's going to hurt you a little bit more at 8-7 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. So just keep that in mind. I'm not just trying to discourage you from playing him. And again, as of right now, I'm looking at around 20%. Or so, but that is obviously I have there's some value players that I like there that we'll get into a little later. But him and Brunson and Hardaway are the main three for me. If you want to take a shot on, what's his name? The 6K dude. Dorian Finney-Smith, DFS. You could do it, but I can't do that. I'll probably raise his minutes though. But yeah, those are the main. Let's keep it rolling because I'm killing you guys with time, I know. Let's get over to Denver. Get over to Denver. We've got what we got here. We've got a 215 total, down 2 points from 217. Utah opened up as 9-point favorite, up to 9.5. We have some moving pieces with the Denver situation. They obviously made some trades yesterday as well. They were a part of that big trade anyway. This is a back end of a back-to-back for Denver. This is a 3-4, 4-6, actually a 5-7. It's just a grueling part of the schedule. Just a really, really tough part of the schedule. Meanwhile, Utah's 3 days rested. I would be very shocked if Utah does not beat the ever-living shit out of Denver today. I would be stunned if they didn't. Stunned. With that said, Denver is just so thin that it might not matter. They're just missing a whole bunch of people. So obviously they were already missing. They did get Jamal Murray back yesterday. They were already missing Millsap, already missing Plumlee. Michael Porter Jr. is doubtful. He's unlikely to play today. Where do these minutes go? Will Barton is questionable. They traded away Juan Hernan-Gomez, traded away Malik Beasley, traded away Jared Vanderbilt. So they're another one. They just, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in their rotation? Maybe I'm missing someone here. Is that right? There's just nobody there. It's a slower pace game, slower pace environment, but normally I'd be worried. Will Barton's questionable. Jeremy Grant is now questionable because they might need. They're going to need them both to play. They just don't have bodies. Yeah, this is rough. They're playing Utah. It's not a pretty situation. They're likely to get their teeth kicked in. So again, it's not the prettiest situation. I'm probably going to bet on Utah minus 9.5. I didn't realize, especially seeing the public is betting on Denver. No, this is not a good situation for Denver. Utah is going to just destroy them. That's my personal opinion. I wouldn't let that affect fantasy anyway. Looking at this team, Will Barton, I think, is in play. Nikola Jokic, definitely in play. He got no backup. Maybe we see PJ Dozier get more minutes today. Definitely a possibility. They do have this guy, Vlatko Kankar, who I don't have on there because we just never needed him before. In a garbage time scenario, he could play, but that is one extra body that is not on this list, to be clear. They do have another guy. So I'm seeing this Vlatko dude, PJ Dozier, Torrey Craig, Gary Harris, Monte Morris, maybe Jeremy Grant, Jamal Murray, maybe Will Barton, and Jokic. So if that was the case, that'd be like 9 players active. So again, very thin. Obviously, Minnesota is a lot more appealing because they're not in this brutal schedule stretch. Yesterday, they destroyed Portland. Wasn't even close. Torrey Craig might play a lot today. I'm going to adjust his minutes. I think we have him a little too high now that we've got some of them, depending, like, obviously if Barton, but I mean, they don't have a, if Grant plays, then we're going to have to tweak these and lower Torrey Craig a little bit. So we'll see. We'll have to come back to it. On the Utah side, Conley looked good. Now, Utah, even though I'm expecting a blowout, we know that this coach is like, he still plays his guys in blowouts when they're home. He does it for the crowd. So I'm not really worried about the Utah side. I still think they're fine. Conley started last game, played extremely well. I'm okay with him. Rudy Gobert, really good matchup against Jokic. They got no big, so Jokic's not a good defender. I'm good with Gobert at his price. They're nice and rested, 3 days off. Donovan Mitchell, too cheap. Another guy I'm going to throw in the mix at that. I told you shooting guard, there's a lot of guys that are interesting. Another player that I'm just going to throw in the mix. So I'm actually fine with Utah. We got one more game left, and I actually do kind of like at least one side of it. And then we'll take a little break here, bring Paulie on for part 2, and discuss things a little further, talk some game theory, all that fun stuff. So we're going to start off with the Miami Heat. We got the Miami Heat visiting the Clippers. Both teams have had a day off. We have a 224.5 total. The Clippers are 6.5-point favorites. It's definitely possible the Clippers blow them out. But if not, I like the late night hammer action. I shouldn't say late night hammer because it starts at this. No, it is late night hammer. It starts all by itself at 10. We've got injuries here too. So Myers Leonard, Tyler Hero joining Justice Winslow on the injured list, not playing. Derrick Jones Jr., I'm expecting to start. I'm expecting him to play a lot of minutes. I think Olynyk will see an uptick in minutes as well. Unfortunately, he is center, so I don't know how much of him I get. And I don't trust his minutes more than it because they could play James Johnson. I expect him to get some run. But Derrick Jones Jr., I think, will play a lot. Duncan Robinson is definitely in play for the simple fact that Tyler Hero's not around. Kendrick Nunn is in play at 4.9. The minutes are up and down. He has like a groin injury he was nursing. They're thin, so I would imagine they find ways to play him, but I do prefer Goran Dragic. I just think the upside is a little better with him, and he was the one they were closing in the competitive situation. They brought Nunn in garbage time, I think more of a rehab thing. So I prefer Dragic, but Jimmy Butler is probably my favorite. It's more of a game theory deal, but Jimmy Butler and even Bam Adebayo I do like a lot at center, but Jimmy Buckets, with all the injuries that we have, I think he plays big minutes. He was looking really good. We know Butler typically gets up for bigger games. They're playing the Clippers in the house that Kobe built. So, well, the house that Kobe helped the whole time, at least. I don't want to, Laker fans out there, I don't know how you guys feel, but obviously you know what I meant. Meant that in all the most positive way possible. With that said, I think Butler's going to try to step it up. I do. And so he's interesting to me. We have some injuries to make him more interesting. Obviously, if none was out, I'd be even happier. But just a low-owned player, I want to take a stand on the late night hammer. I think he steps it up against Paul George and Kawhi. Wants to prove he could play with those guys. I like Bam. Bam sucked last time in this spot. I'm willing to go right back. The spot is too good for me to believe that Bam's going to suck in this spot again. And I think Bam plays big minutes, especially with Myers Leonard, just another bigger player off the court, even though he's a power forward. So, yeah, I like Bam and Butler the most. I like Dragic as a third. And for value, Derrick Jones Jr. is actually one of my favorite value plays on the slate. He is. We know his role. I think they're going to use him to cover Kawhi a lot or Paul George or something. Whichever one Butler's not, right? I'm good with that. Last game, we take a little break. We've got the Clippers. Last team. I actually think Harrell's interesting. He played well against Miami last time. This could be a situation where they do kind of need his help. Now, everybody's healthy, so it makes it tougher to come here. Paul George, I think we can still get in at a cheap price. He played over 30 minutes in his last game. Kawhi's the one that usually takes the biggest hit. Sometimes he's not nearly as aggressive with these other players. Lou Williams kind of floating around at a low price. He's tempting, very interesting. But I think that Paul George and Harrell are the two I'd be more likely to give it a shot on. And I don't mind Kawhi because Kawhi's price came down. I'm just stating that usage-wise, we've seen him kind of sub. When everybody's healthy, he usually takes a bigger back seat. When people are out, the things he does, you're like, damn, he can do this every game. But we've seen him kind of take a back seat. So Harrell and George are my preferred options, with Lou Williams as that guy that I probably don't reach because of the position is too deep. but somebody I'm tempted by. Obviously plays off the bench, very risky. That's going to do it for the first portion of the game by game. Appreciate all of you who are hanging out with us for this one. Please hit that like button. Don't go anywhere. We're not signing off. We're just going to take a little break, 5 minutes or so. I'm going to bring Paulie on. We'll talk some game theory stuff. I'll ask him some questions. You guys ask some questions. We'll get him in, and we'll do the dirty. So don't go nowhere. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. We'll be right back with part 2. I'm just going to play some music for you all to chill while we set up. Let's get it.
What we do here is go back.
What up, Nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream, CK013. Again, this time joined by the GOAT, the true OG, but you guys know him as Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening?
What's up, man? Wildness, wild things going on in trade deadline land. You know, big slate, trade deadline, trades going through last night. Trades might go through during the slate. Who knows? I don't know. Lots of high total games, lots of action. We got to get into this shit.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm just waiting to finally figure out what I'm all right, this is what I'm doing, and then that's when I'm gonna get hit with the such and such player was traded, such and such player was whatever. Is there a point like say I'm Minnesota where they may have 8 players? If they make a trade, do you think the NBA would say no, he has to play this game though, and then you can trade him? I mean, at what point you're gonna let a team go with maybe possibly 7 players? I don't know, man. What happens if somebody falls out?
Before.
Yeah, it has.
We've seen Memphis go with 7 guys, either last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
There's definitely emergency people they could call up from the G. Even if they're not going to play, but just to be on the bench in case, like you said, 2 guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I do think this is a tough spot for D'Angelo Russell will play. This is a tough spot for Utah schedule wise, but at the end of the day, you count the bodies, man. They just not a lot of them.
It's like a murder scene. Count the bodies.
Yeah, for real. With that said, Paulie, talk to me a little bit about what your overall approach is going to be. Move your camera a little more to the other side. You move it too much. Yeah, holla. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of the obvious spots, Minnesota, Atlanta. Minnesota in particular, very short, amazing game, crazy high total. Just everyone appears to be a value. I think you got to just get exposure to all of it, in different combinations, 4-man, 3-man, 2-mans. Not a ton of studs I'm really in love with on the slate. There's a couple, but it's 2-3 value guys and then 5, 6 to 8K guys to round out lineups is probably, it's not exactly stars and scrubs. It's scrubs and, level 2 studs kind of thing, kind of builds is where I'm kind of living. I think there's definitely mid-tier, kind of builds that could work out where all these chalky value plays from Minnesota just get into the mid-20s and, guys in the 5 to 6K range go for 40s and 50s and you didn't even need any of that value. That's certainly a possibility. So I'm going to have a little bit of both. There's just so much going on. I don't think I'm going to get too highly exposed to many players. There's a couple, Andrew Wiggins, I like a ton today. I think I'm going to have 60% of him. I don't really see that changing, but I don't think I'm going to get married to too many guys above 60% today because there's a lot, and there's certainly paths to them not working out.
Do you like Wiggins more than Cat today? Or do you like them both?
I do.
Yeah, you like them
both. But I do like them both a lot. Yeah. But, Wiggins is significantly cheaper. Say that game really blows out one way or another. Wiggins can still get there where Cat, he really needs to go for 70. You know what I mean? To be better than everyone else, honestly.
Yeah.
Where Wiggins get you to like 45, not be the best player on the slate, but be in the winning lineup. Cat is kind of polarized at his price that, like, you know, if you have a shit ton of him and he duds, fouls out, whatever the case, like, that could really burn you. Where, like, I don't think Wiggins ends up really burning you today unless he pulls a Reggie Jackson, who's 1 for 16.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I like them both. I find myself getting a little bit more of Cat at the moment, but I do like them both. I'm going to have them both a lot. I was just curious because the problem with both of them is that their positions are very competitive today, both of them. Like Wiggins, if you look at all the shooting guards, like it's loaded. You look at center, same thing with Cat, Drummond, all these guys, it's loaded. So like that was why I was curious. Talk to me about the value, guys. How are you going to treat the situation? Like for me right now, I'm assuming Culver's a starting point guard. Being that we play on DraftKings, we have late swap. If Culver is not the point guard, I will lower exposure on him and upgrade it on whoever the hell is. But as of right now, I'm assuming Culver is the starter. But tell me what your game plan is approaching the value player specifically for Minnesota.
Well, with Culver first, like, what if he's just starting at the 2 and they start McLaughlin at point guard?
Then I want more McLaughlin, but I'll still play Culver, but I want more McLaughlin. Because I'll play Culver regardless because he's going to play minutes regardless, right? It's just we were looking for that point guard usage. That's what we're looking for. Just somebody to be involved a little bit more.
I mean, I personally don't care if he plays point guard or shooting guard. I just want him in the starting lineup. I don't see how he's not.
Agreed.
So I'm approaching it as if he's starting where I don't really care because he's mostly a scoring threat. Like that's his value. Like he's not going to get a ton of assists. He's not going to get a ton of rebounds. He's mostly just going to be like a raw scorer, like a Jordan Clarkson kind of guy. So he's all right. I don't care where he starts. I just want to know he's going to start, and I don't see how he doesn't. So
yeah,
I'm fairly comfortable with him at his price.
I agree. After that, we've got Keelan Martin. We've got Josh Okogie, who's already been a big part of the rotation. We've got a hole at power forward that they could go small and start like Keelan Martin or someone there, or there's probably someone I'm forgetting. Or they go a little bigger. They are playing Atlanta, who we're expecting to see Damian Jones and Collins, but they may not do that. They can always go small and put Collins at the 5. What do you think the plan is next after Culver?
I think they'll start Naz Reid if I had to guess at the 4. We should get that lineup. They start, we'll see. They start at 8. I mean, I'm sure we'll get it. I'm seeing that's fucked up. I think Gorgie's going to be the backup 5, right? Like, I don't think he starts. I think does Naz Reid start? Or like you said, they go small, roll up like Wiggins to the 4, start Keelan Martin at the 3, Okogie at the 2, or, some variation of that. If like a Naz Reid or a Gorgie Dieng were to start, I'd go a little heavier on them. I do like Keelan Martin kind of regardless at his price, so I plan to get probably around 40% of him. And Okogie, I'd be more inclined to play more of if he's starting. So we're just going to kind of wait and see how that plays out. You're muted.
God damn it. Yeah, the starting lineup's going to hopefully give us a little more information because you just feel a little more comfortable at least betting on the guys that are starting. But agreed. Earlier someone had asked, is everybody in Minnesota in play? And I said, yes. Every active body in Minnesota is in play. And again, we're still waiting on the status of Alan Crabb, who's questionable. Should he be out? We're down to 8 players. 8 players against Atlanta in a game that they're home and they're favored in.
240 total.
240 total. Team of the night. Holla at a play when you see him in the streets. All right, so talk to me about the other value plays. We'll go in reverse order with the studs, mids here, and all that. So let's start off with the value while we're on the topic of it. So outside of the Minnesota guys, to me, like Culver obviously is on like a tier of his own, right? Like in terms of the value. After that, Minnesota in general, we'll group them together. After that, who are some of the other value plays you're interested in? Because we do have a lot of other ones.
So we got 2 guards in Detroit, Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown. I like Derek Jones Jr. a lot today. Miami missing a couple guys, and they used him to shadow studs. They got 2 of them in LA with Kawhi and Paul George that they could elect to throw him on. I think he starts and plays a shit ton of minutes, and Do like him. I also like Duncan Robinson. You know, I think if Miami hangs in that game, like he does have a good game shooting. Um, Kevin Porter Jr. from Cleveland, I think, is kind of interesting. We got Enes Kanter from Boston, likely going to get the start at center. Who else? I guess that's kind of it in terms of value that I'm like really interested in. Am I missing anybody? I thought that list was going to be a little longer.
Oh, well, I mean, there's other like ancillary, like there's players for darts, but I think at this point we have such good value. Like Kelly Olynyk, for example, right? He's been playing 20 minutes a game. He's 3,400. But are you playing him over Derek Jones? Probably not. You playing him over the Minnesota dudes? Probably not. You know, I think that's really what it is. I'm sure there are guys that, like, if we go through here, we could find them. It's just at this point, are we playing those guys over the other ones? I don't know. What about mid tier? And I have a feeling you like the mid tier. And like when I say mid tier, we'll go all the way up to like say 85. We'll cut it off at like 8,500.
Okay. 85. So that's going to include like Jimmy Butler, who I do like. So I like everybody in the Dallas-Memphis game. They're like all mid-tier. I think that's like an incredible game stack kind of situation. Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway, Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Jaren Jackson, Joe Val. I like some of the mid-tier guys in Miami. Goran Dragic, what do you call it? Bam and Jimmy Butler. I really like Andrew Wiggins in the mid-tier. What do you call it? The guys from the Nets. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. I like Karis LeVert. D'Angelo Russell is 84, so he qualifies. I like Pascal Siakam quite a bit today. Colin Sexton's been playing really well, 6,500. No Tristan Thompson today. Who else? I like Montrezl Harrell. I like Kevin Huerter. I guess, those are the main ones. Like I'm going to have a lot of Dallas, Memphis, and Minnesota today. And Miami.
Yeah, I like Matt.
Oh, you know who else? Donovan Mitchell, 7,100. He had like the worst game of his career like 2-3 games ago against the same team. And now they're in like the really good spot. Like last time they were coming off the back-to-back and whatnot. And like, I know you like Utah, and I think Donovan Mitchell, 7,100. 50 burgers it and balls out.
Oh, you can certainly do that. There's no doubt about that. No doubts about it. Markieff Morris has just been ruled out again, so I think that Sekou Doumbouya, I'm gonna raise his minutes up a bit. He had like a 28% usage rate the last time he was out there. He followed the Reggie Jackson meal plan that day. He went like 2 for 15 or 16 from the field or something like that. Looks like Terrence Ferguson is back. He will not have a minutes limit. He missed some time for some personal stuff. Outside of that, I guess talk to me about like we have a lot of injured I can't even talk. Injured teams, right? Or just thin. Denver is one of them. Minnesota, obviously, one of them. They're everywhere, and so some of them because of trades. Some of them just because of injuries. Some of these teams are just genuinely banged up, like Boston, right? So I guess talk to me about some of these teams that I guess like the top 3 you want to target the most, just for the simple fact that they don't have the bodies. Like who is the most significant? Because now it's cheat codes of DFS thin teams, but now we have a bunch of thin teams, and now we have to grade them against each other and figure out which of them are the best spots.
So I mean, this is in no particular order, but like Denver, right? Like I have no interest in Jokic. I'm like looking to play the value, like second unit guys that could get blowout run. That's like Torrey Craig, PJ Dozier would have been a phenomenal, what's his name? Beasley spot, but he's gone. Monty Morris, maybe even Gary Harris, like the cheaper guys over there, just because regardless of if they're getting trounced or not, they're going to have to play, and like Jeremy Grant, Will Barton being questionable. I think that they're unlikely to play deep into blowouts. So it's like just the remaining bodies I don't mind. Minnesota, it's everybody, literally. I'll try to rank them for you. Let me just pull it up. So I would go Culver, and I'd go Wiggins, Cat, Culver. Depending on the starting lineup, if Naz Reid starts, it'd be him. If Naz Reid doesn't start, then it would be Keelan Martin, Dieng, McLaughlin, Okogie, in that order. And I'm going to have a lot of them no matter what. Who's the other short-handed team? Boston?
Yeah.
Take a look. Damn. Like Cantor, they're a little pricey in a slow-paced game. I'm not that into them. I may just like plug in like 3 or 4 5-man like stacks from Boston, where it's like, I get 1 or 2 Orlandos and 3 or 4 Bostons. Definitely with Cantor in the mix, and then like the guys that are going to play, like Tatum, Brown, Hayward, maybe Grant Williams, Tremont Waters, Javonte Green. But outside of Cantor, I'm not really that into the Boston just because of the slowness of that game.
I agree. A combination of that with the prices of the other players. On FanDuel, Jaylen Brown, I mentioned he was cheap. Hayward, a little more reachable. On DraftKings, I had a hard time reaching any of them. But Cantor is a player that I probably will end up with a pretty good chunk of, and he's just so cheap. And being that they're so thin and they got Vooch, and you would think he's going to get at least, at minimum, 22? Minimum 22?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say I would project him for like 25.
Yeah,
right? That's right
if
there.
If I do that, our projections will give you 100% of them, because that's how good of a point per minute average guy he is. It's like he would just.
Right.
I put him at 22.5 just to be conservative, just to give him, and he's still like projecting to be one of the top plays on the slate for us. And I'm not fighting it. I'm with you on Cantor. I do like Cantor quite a bit.
Yeah.
So talk to me, Markieff Morris. Let's talk about this situation. It's the latest piece of news we just got. He's out again. In the last game, we saw Sekou Doumbouya start. He was min-priced. Now he's 4K. His usage was good, but he played like shit, which led to them getting blown out, the combination of him and Reggie, which led to Christian Wood playing 34 minutes. Obviously, if he played 34 minutes, he played some at the 4. Now, initially, when I did the game by game, I was like, maybe they wouldn't need it. But now that I don't think they do. But at the same time, if they did, they could dominate this spot. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But like, do you think Wood is likely to play big minutes at the 4 again, or do you think like they didn't really? Because I mean, Phoenix don't got nobody. Like they don't got big guys. It's just Ayton. That's it. That's all they got left. No Kaminsky, no Saric, no nobody. What are your thoughts on Holla at a player?
I mean, just like you take Markieff off, I'm showing 7 bodies that are like, worthy of considering. That's not a lot. So I don't see how Wood doesn't get decent minutes. Like I would say 26 is like a projectable kind of total there where sure you can get into the 30s, but I don't think you want to project that. I think when they're fully healthy, you're probably seeing them only playing like 16 to 20, but they're not. So, 24 to 26 is probably where I'd put his projection at. And like you said, the spot is really good. So yeah, I'm with that. And I think they're like, pretty much everyone is like available for trade from Detroit right now. So, I think they want to try to market the guys that are more marketable. Like, I don't see them playing like Thon Maker or Tony Snell over Wood today because on top of like, the fact that Wood's better, like they're also maybe trying to sell him and a big game wouldn't hurt. So yeah, I think he plays more minutes than less today.
I agree. As far as Bruce Brown, I know you talked about it. I know you're interested. I'm interested also. At the same time, he's 4.9 now and 5K on FanDuel. Not that 3.9 that he was the other day. Obviously, with Svi out, with Markieff Morris now, like you mentioned, there's just no bodies. He's played 38 minutes in 2 straight games. I mean, you have to at least expect him to play those big minutes or something close to that again if the game's close, right?
I would say so, yeah.
The issue is the price gotten up to a point where now you're starting to like scale back a little? Or are you still like, no, I don't care, he's playing, he's not leaving the court, so I don't give a damn?
I don't think he leaves the court much.
Right. It's just
I think there might be better plays out there. So
Sure.
I'm not going to go crazy on Brown unless like Reggie were ruled out.
Right.
But still a guy I think you're going to project for around 6x, right? So like, got to get some.
For sure. Any interest in Sekou Doumbouya?
Yeah, definitely.
There's just so much. Part of me wants you to be like, nah, we don't need anything else. But like, you're right. Absolutely, we have to make room for these guys. But part of me is like, it's so big. I'm just like, bro, just no. Like, let's not include anyone else. But this is what we got to do. This is the craziness, the madness of slates like these. Let's talk about cash games for a little bit, and then we'll get back to just overall stuff. But speaking cash games, talk to me about some of the first players you're putting in today. Obviously, Jared Culver, I would assume, just based off ownership alone, just to block it.
Yeah, Cat, Jared Culver.
Just all the Minnesota guys just say, fuck it, Wiggins, Cat, let's just go. Like, maybe, why not, right? We're expecting him to play monster.
I mean, I think you play those three. Culver, Wiggins, Cat,
yes.
right? I think those three for sure, right? Then
Porzingis, maybe.
I think you put Kristaps into a cash game lineup right now. We got the value.
Yeah.
I think you put one of Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown. It's weird to say Reggie Jackson in cash, but
I know what you mean.
If he doesn't go 1 for 16, like that was a good quantity of shots that, like, even if he shoots 25%, he's doing well for you.
Right.
I think Karis LeVert, you stick into a cash game lineup.
Holla.
Enes Kanter.
Yeah. I'm with it, man.
That's 6 bodies right there, right? I think that's very good baseline right there. Like, if you wanted to come off of like Kristaps and go to either another center like Drummond or like a Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Spencer Dinwiddie, I wouldn't hate you for that. You wanted to add another value piece from Minnesota, like after we get the lineup, someone that's starting, I'd be all right with that. I think someone from Denver, Dallas, although after Kristaps, I don't know who's really cash viable. Cash viable.
At the position, you mean, right?
Yeah.
7th all day. Tristan Thompson officially ruled out.
Oh, I thought that was already official.
I know, right? Well, it's official now.
I could have sworn I thought.
He was listed as doubtful earlier, and there's also rumors that he could be traded to Houston. How that to play when you see him in the streets. I'm with you, bro. I mean, in cash, I agree. I don't have any disagreements. As far as the games go, I know you'd mentioned that Memphis, Dallas. Like, I do think that's another way to try to get a little different. That there are a few good spots, a few teams that are thin, and just a few games that look pretty good in general. So, I think it's interesting. And Miami side, that's another team that I agree with you on. I think they could be lower owned, little late night hammer action. We know Jimmy Buckets likes to step it up for these kind of situations. And Bam Adebayo, man, like that's a guy that like last time they played, I thought for sure I was like, Bam is gonna just eat the cookies and send them all home sad. And instead, he got punked. He got punked real bad by Montrezl Harrell. But I can't help but think. I mean, am I wrong? Is there something about Bam I'm missing that this particular spot against the Clippers he shouldn't excel, or you think that was just like a fluke? He's at a fluky ass game.
Fluke.
It's gotta be.
I mean, this is a great spot.
It's gotta be.
On top of the fact that short, the Clippers' clear weakness is bigs, and like he's not your like usual big. Like he does everything. He's a triple double threat. So
right.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal play.
That's what I figured too. Oh, if you hear me.
Another game that like I don't know if the whole industry is like looking at for stacking, but Golden State Brooklyn really, makes sense to me. Like, you got D'Angelo Russell, who was on Brooklyn last year. They kind of just sent him packing for Kyrie. You've got Dinwiddie with the usage increase because of no Kyrie. You got LeVert, got those three. And everyone else from both teams is like reasonable. They're like outside of like maybe Draymond, they're all under 6K. Another nice game stacking situation. should play very fast, minimal defense, and like I'm not really hearing much about it around the industry.
Yeah, I don't disagree. A little more news. We got Alan Crabb is available to play. So they do have 9 bodies, I think, or is it 8? 8 bodies. DeAndre Hunter will start, although he will be on a 30-minute limit. So anything over 30, and they will not be doing the dirty. Bruno Fernando available to play as well. The Hawks will start Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Damian Jones. John Henson expected to start for Tristan Thompson. So I guess Larry Nance is not going to start. They're going to start Henson instead. He is also extremely cheap. What else do we got here? Hawks. Oh, yeah, I mentioned that starting lineup already. So we got the Hawks lineup. Bruno Fernando will be limited to 12 minutes. So definitely not full strength for Atlanta. I guess talk to me about the Tristan Thompson. Does this do anything for you? I mean, we expected him to be out. I think we all expected Nance to start. Looks like they're going to start Henson instead, from what I understand. I would assume for matchup purposes, because it's and not that he's going to make a difference, but I'm assuming this has got to be because of Adams, unless there's a trade we don't know about that's going down. What are your thoughts, Paulie?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's for Adams, or they just want, Nance off the bench, second unit, which is like usually what he does. I don't know. It doesn't really affect my feelings because I don't see Henson getting much more than 15 minutes, even if he's starting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. Man. Wow. Let's take a look and see if we got anything. There's just a lot, man. I'm sitting here like, I got to update this. And I'm like, shit, I got a whole lot to update. I'm going to kick it to you for a couple minutes while I update this Markieff Morris shit.
All right. We can talk some studs. We left that out.
Yeah. I was saving that as a backup. Let's do it. Hit me with it. Hit me with it hard.
Back that ass up. And there's not a ton. Trae Young's my favorite. I am not really into Jokic, even though he may just be forced to play big minutes. Jamal Murray's back. That's a usage decline. We'll see if Will Barton and Jeremy Grant are in. If they are ruled out, which I don't see how they do get ruled out, maybe I tick up, but his price is up. Trae Young, Cat, the two that I'll have the most of. And then I really like Jimmy Butler and D'Angelo Russell, kind of towards the lower end of the studs. I think Drummond is always in play against the team that struggles versus bigs at, under 10K. But Trae Young, Cat, Russell, and Jimmy Butler are probably my favorites today.
With it, game stack style.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to take a look at some ownership while I'm killing a little time. And then I'll pull up YouTube. If there's any questions, YouTube, holla at us. Did you announce the winner for the Dame contest yesterday?
I did. I announced it in part 1. If you didn't catch it, you go ahead and give them a refresher and tell them to send an email to contact@wisetake.com to claim their prize.
Mr. Papa Giorgio 10, holla at us. Set you up. We'll do another one soon. So be on the lookout. All right. So, I'm looking at 2 different sites right now. Pretty much the same grouping of guys. Culver, Cantor, Porzingis, Cat, Wiggins, Reggie Jackson, Karis LeVert. I don't really disagree with that grouping for popularity. Wiggins is one of my favorites. Of that chalky group. I like all these guys, though. I will have decent amounts of all of them. Going right back to Trae Young, he was on his way to a 60, probably has the highest ceiling on this slate, or at least the highest consistent ceiling. Maybe Cat can go for more. Just kind of ran out of steam and re-aggravated that ankle injury at the end of the game. I guess that's a risk, but with all the value, you're going to need to, play significant amounts of some of these guys. So, him and Cat are the ones I want the most, even though they're going to be popular. And I guess kind of get a little more contrarian with the Dinwiddies and D'Angelo Russells and that late night hammer any of the Miami guys, Bam or Jimmy buckets. I did want to see if this is D'Angelo's first time against Brooklyn, first time back in Brooklyn. It is. Okay. So, I think we see him take a million shots, play a little extra motivated, and, he interests me as like a contrarian stud today. He's also risky because he's like one of the most rumored players in the trade deadline. So you got that to think about.
Oh, man. So I just made some updates, obviously. I'm getting a ton of Detroit and Minnesota. I already was, just now even more. And Christian Wood, man, I mean, he just goes right to the top. His power forward eligibility obviously helps that out. I was somewhat conservative with his minutes. I saw some sources go a little high on him, like 29, 30. I saw in some places. I still don't think he plays, I don't know if he gets that 34 again. But I do think, like you said, I think that it's pretty safe to say he's going to get, 26, 27, something like that. It seems pretty safe, right? Because he's going to play 4 at some points. I'm just saying I think that they'll play Doumbouya more. Starting lineup just came out, as a matter of fact. Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown, Tony Snell, Doumbouya, and Drummond are currently the listed starters. So, like I said, oh, my God, I'm going to have to make some adjustments to Wood because our projections always love this guy, man. And I get why.
Yeah, he's a point per minute freak.
It's just the minutes, man. Like, I've been screwed by him so many times with his team just choosing not to play him. I've been fucked so many times. I get worried, man. I mean, what are you gonna do with Wood?
20%.
20%. So obviously you're taking a conservative approach because where he projects, he projects to be now.
I think I'll be way over the field at 20%.
You think he'll be over the field?
Yeah, you see him projecting to be more than 20?
Not yet, but oh yeah, now yes. Now I see him projected as the second highest owned player on the slate.
Oh wow. Really? Just with that Markieff Morris news
he
that?
Played 34 minutes, and he didn't even do that great considering he got 34. He went for 32, but this is he should have done way better. If you told me Christian Wood was going to play in 34 minutes, I would have assumed that he was going for a lot more than 32 DraftKings points. You know what I mean? But that is what he finished with. That's where I'm kind of, that's what I'm saying, bro. Because these people that rely on their projections, you put him in for any significant minutes, he's going to project through the roof. It's just, But yeah, I anticipate him being pretty popular at places where the Markieff Morris stuff is updated, of course. Holla at a player when you see him in the streets. Got that, man.
18 minutes to lock, Nation.
Already? No way. I mean, let me check the WiseTake chat right quick. Like the background music. Big Rick 23. Don't know if you guys mentioned it yet about Evan Turner was who you were asking about. Is Evan Turner starting for Minnesota? Just got here. We haven't heard anything. I was under the impression that he's not playing, but
there's no way. I've never seen a trade get processed in a day. Like, just no way.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention
that RotoWire. I don't know why they have him there. I'd be shocked, truly shocked at that trade. There's so many physicals that need to happen, and they can't approve one piece of the trade and not the whole thing. So everybody on that list has to get cleared. There's just I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I wouldn't expect him to play at all. It's just, not to mention, it's not like the trade happened at 12 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. Shit was happening everybody. Half these motherfuckers are probably asleep or just about to go to sleep when it happened. I'll let it play when you see me in the screen. So let's see what we got here. Another question. Appreciate the question, Big Rick. Keep coming on the WiseTake chat. Let's see. I'm gonna pop in here now. Check Diallo, 3,200, getting more minutes with no Sarge, no Baines. Anything to say on that?
Yeah, I'm cool with Check, but there's just not a ton of minutes there. Where we have Christian Wood for a little bit more money, but a lot more minutes, and whoever does end up starting at the 4 for Minnesota, he's just more of a flyer kind of play to me.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Don't forget, Nation, hit that like button. We are going to rock with you up until lock, as always, keeping you updated on as much information as we can. We appreciate those of you who are joining us. If you could hit that like button, it really goes a long way. It really helps us out. Did we just get a trade? I got to check this. We just get some trade action going down. No, Jonas Valanciunas available to play. I'm glad because I didn't know he was questionable. So that's good to know.
Yeah. I asked you right before the show if you thought he was going to play.
Oh, I thought you just meant like rotationally, like his minutes be ranging from like 37 to, you know what I mean? I thought you meant like, do you think he's going to play 30 minutes or do you think he's going to play 26? That's what I thought you were asking. I didn't realize he was even questionable, to be honest. And I did this game by game twice today. I don't see. I guess I'll check Woj. Somebody in the chat mentioned something about Glenn Robinson. I don't know. I haven't heard anything that. If Woj don't say it, no. I see the Lakers inquired about DSJ. I don't see anything about any official things going down, so I'm assuming nah. Assuming nah. That's what I'm doing. Like it or nah.
Like you said, if Woj don't say it, it don't even exist.
Woj don't say it. Oh man, who's this spam dude? Who's this Umar spam? Man, I didn't even notice he was in there, man. I'm sorry about that. I'm about to. How do I do this?
Spamming us?
Yeah, man. He literally wrote spam and a bunch of bullshit. Just deleted his ass. Block his ass. Don't need you in here, bro. Don't need you in here, bro. Coming in here, messing with my people.
Time for this shit. Not today, not me.
He can suck it long and hard. Booker or D'Lo? That's a good question.
Ooh, D'Lo.
Neighbor dirtiers. EP2, do thy dirty to thy neighbor 7 times over. I'm with you. Slicks picks 6. Top point guard plays on FanDuel. Always a question. I'm gonna pull up some prices for you in a second here. I got it right here, son. I got it right here. I'll pull them up. Let's see what we got. You got Mike Conley at 4,300, Reggie Jackson at 500. Malcolm Brogdon's only 6,300. Jalen Brunson's only 5,600. Dragic 52. Trae Young's 9,600.
I like that. I like Dragic.
I do like Dragic. I'm not getting enough as I wanted right now because I also like Brunson too. Holla at a play when you see him. Starting lineup for the Raptors real quick. Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Siakam, and Ibaka. Starting lineup for the Pacers, Brogdon, Oladipo, Lamb, Sabonis, Turner. So Oladipo into the starting lineup. They said they were like, yo, we're going to raise his cap to 28. He never played 24. He didn't even play to the 24 that they initially had him capped to. But any of those point guards kind of stand out. I mean, the players are the same. It's just a price thing, right? Like if you like a player, you like a player. Obviously, if his price is too drastic, that'll change your mind. But if you like a play, you like a play, right? So I still like Reggie Jackson. I still like Goran Dragic. I still like Jalen Brunson. I still like these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Any love for min-price Torrey Craig?
Yeah, he's all right. He's got to play a lot. Right, so yes, and I prefer the guys that are going to get blowout run over there.
Yeah, I did see another question earlier that I thought was good, but now I think I lost. Oh, here we go. Daniel D. Who plays the 4 and the 5 if Grant and Porter gets ruled out? Now, I think we're both expecting Grant to play. Like if he got questionable, we're expecting him to play. But hypothetically, let's just answer hypotheticals here. If he were to get ruled out,
you'd probably be looking at like so you're looking at Torrey Craig, PJ Dozier,
bro,
like they don't got nothing,
There's a reason.
Black cocaine.
Like, I think their initial plan was like, all right, it's cool. We'll get the kid back tomorrow. Let Grant rest tomorrow. Because Grant was questionable yesterday, too. But evidently, Porter woke up today and was like, I don't think it's happening. And then they were like, all right, fuck it. All right, then shit. He's just like, all right, then shit. You got 12 minutes to log, Nation. Make it pop. Make it pop. 30.30. Bum. Shoo. Shit. Shit. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think I could leave it like that, though. Oh my god, back to the Nas Reed thing. I'm really gonna have to know if that dude's playing. It's gonna keep me up at night.
Definitely playing.
Oh, he's definitely
No
playing.
question,
That's
he's
true.
playing.
So, like, I mean, in that scenario, if that's the case, you playing regardless, right? Like, it's cheap enough. Why the hell wouldn't you? In that case.
Yeah, you definitely play him. It's just a matter of like how much. I mean, he's projecting through the roof. And that's at like with a 19-minute projection. This is Atlanta. And like, if you look through like when he's played 19 minutes, right? Like he's gone for 25, 26.75, 20 and a half, 11 one time against Portland. Like, I think we could say he's going to play 18 minutes, right? Like no question about that, right?
Yeah.
So like his floor is probably like a 14, his ceiling's probably around 30, right? Like if he gets a 30, you're going to want him, right? If he gets a 22, you might not need him. So it's like you're definitely playing him, but it's how much. Like right now, I'm personally capping him at 20 because like I just think that there's much stronger plays. Like, Enes Kanter to me is significantly stronger because technically he's a center and he's got Yang and Cat. That's not where they're weak. Like I want to play Nas Reed. I love Nas Reed. I think he's going to be a great, fantasy player for a long time when he starts to play. But, he's not at the spot where they really need him. Although if they do roll him down to the 4 and he starts there, then maybe he gets 30 minutes and then he's an elite player.
Right.
So really need to know that starting line.
Yeah.
And probably won't get it 7:40.
Yeah, exactly. But we ain't getting it. There's no doubt. Atlanta already put their shit out. So if these guys were gonna do it, they was gonna do it then. If they was gonna do it big then.
Yeah.
Famous words of Jameis Winston. I'm ready. I'm watching it like a Hawk donation. Don't you worry. If we get some of this news, I'm ready. Ready to jump on it. Man, it's the Wild West this slate, man. There's plays everywhere, man. I got plays everywhere, man. Shit.
Yeah. Shit.
Got plays everywhere,
All right,
man.
DMB.
Do you?
All right, DMB.
Do you, little man, want to make her? Let's go. Do you want to make her? How about Brad Wanamaker doing the dirty the other day?
Finally, yeah.
You know how much money that guy owes me?
Yeah. You personally a lot.
Oh hell yeah, bro! I mean, I learned my lesson by now, so I don't care. I'll let 50 of those things go. I don't give a damn. He can do that all he wants. I'm not playing that mother. No way, not me.
I mean, you played him at like 60%, and he got you like a 12.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I remember too. I don't forget shit like that. Damn, bro. How much Wiggins and Cat you playing? I know you play more Wiggins, but how much?
Wiggins, I am allowing up to 55%, and Cat, I'm allowing up to 50.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of them too, son. Looking at a lot.
Probably gonna get him filled soon.
Yeah, buddy. Some ownership action. Did I get any Dumbaya? No Dumbaya, son? You don't even know Dumbaya? What is this shit? Oh, we got. Oh shit, we got like 7 minutes to lock, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Damn, man. I gave Dumbaya all these minutes and he still projects for ass. That's not right. It's not right. They got too many minutes going to Wood. I think Dumbaya is gonna play more than these mother suckers think. I'm about to get down on them. Raise up, young one. You know what I'm talking about, Paulie.
Of course. Come on. Fucking sight. Killing me.
Killing me, Smalls.
In multiple ways.
Multiple ways. For days and shit. 6 minutes to lock, nation. I'm gonna do this upload, then I'll try to answer some questions and whatnot. I'm gonna do. Oh yeah. Wow. I knew that was gonna happen. Damn. Christian Woods messing with my I knew I had to pay attention. Messing with my Derrick Jones Jr. share. Say what? You gonna mess with me? Not me. Not me. Yeah. Shit. What player was I just talking about? Derrick Jones Jr. God dang. Hell yeah, I'm about to raise him a little more than Where we at here? 25.73. That's pretty funny. Fuck it. Alright, here we go. Final crunch here. We got 5 minutes to lock, nation. Let's get it in. Let me see. Booker or D'Lo? I don't know if I asked that one.
D'Lo. And you did.
How y'all feel about Okogie versus Culver? I think we both prefer Culver, although I'm cool with Okogie too. I just prefer Culver. Dang stat. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of Sexton in the chat. People like I'm seeing. I respect the long plays. Towns or Trae Young?
Trae Young.
Respect on the name. Wow. Yeah, I agree with you on Trae Young. Actually, I think I'd go Cat, but I have them both like a lot, so I'll just be that guy. Shit. Yo, how much Porzingis did you get? Because all this forward shit is literally like messing up my Porzingis. You know what I mean?
Not as much, like 30-ish.
That's where I was until Christian Wood entered my life and decided to just rip a giant hole in it. Like, I had the exposures when I wanted them, but shit, I think shit. Christian Wood. 3 minutes to lock, nation. Alright, let's go. Hurry up with the shit. 3 minutes to lock. Shit. Got the slow-mo. We got some slow-mo action today with this baby.
Yeah, killing.
Yes, we do.
Liking what it's putting down. It's gonna be close.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be real close. So much for late swap. I wanted to do I wanted to do one more cross. Not at this pace. Not me. Not today. I'm gonna have to let this rock, but I'm okay with it because I got trust in my projections. I'm gonna let it rock. You know, you run a bunch of shit because you want to see what the outcomes are and analyze the teams, but then sometimes you just run out of time. You just gotta take what you could get. Just be grateful you get something up. You know, what can you do? How do they do it? I don't know. How do they do it? I don't know. Alright, so I think I got one bitch in here. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try with 2 minutes here. Let's see how quickly we could generate 170 teams. Two minutes to lock. 2 minutes to lock. No pressure though. You know, no pressure. Just everything's on the line. That's all. No pressure though. It's no big deal. It's nothing. 1 minute to lock, nation. 1 minute to lock. Now, I got this second crunch running, and it just occurred to me that like I don't know. Like I uploaded something already, but it just occurred to me that I don't know what I just uploaded. Like I just what's up?
How many games start at 7?
I think just the one, just the Detroit game. That's the problem for me though, because I have a lot of Detroit exposure, so that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as you're not locked into like a player or two 100%, like the slate's pretty much open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, if you get 40% wood, you got 40% wood, but you're still alive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like
no, of course.
slate's locked and you can't change shit. You know?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Celtics will start Hayward, Romeo Langford, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Cantor. Interesting. Oh, we are at lock. Did not get the crunch in time, such as life. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In this case, I didn't. But I got the other crunch in, so it's not a big deal. That's going to do it for us today, Nation. Please hit that like button before you guys leave. I appreciate y'all. Travis says, good luck, y'all. Do like dirty tonight. Yes, I'm with it. Rodney has a question about Reggie Jackson. We like a lot. We did talk about him. A lot going on there. If we didn't get to your question, sorry. At the end, things get a little crazy. You know, we got to sit there and get our teams built too. We just want to make sure we keep you guys updated with the news as we always do. So hit that like button. Make sure. I love the chat. It's always fun to look at the chat. But make sure that you check out the First Look podcast we do on iTunes, as Apple Podcasts, WiseTake, Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a little wacky, but you know, maybe be into it. And Monday through Friday, we'll be doing an early look show as long as y'all watch it. So as long as y'all watch it, we'll do it. We appreciate y'all. Hit that like button before you go. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, we will be. Ooh, Alec Burke just got scratched, so he's gonna get traded. Alec Burke just got scratched, bro. So Damian Lee's gonna play a shit ton today. So there you go. So
what's his name? Jacob Evans.
Jacob Evans, a value play now emerging. He should get some time back up point guard at least. And now Damian Lee might play extended minutes too, because he was often switching in and out for Burks as well. So if you have,
he can't with Golden State.
Yeah,
you know they're wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, they're wheeling and dealing. The trade deadline until tomorrow. So be with it. Like the video. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.